What if Kamala Harris had won the 2024 election? Today, we're stepping into an alternate timeline. One that almost happened, one that pollsters debated, and one that political analysts still argue about today. And in this timeline, Kamala Harris does what many said was impossible. She wins the presidency. But what actually would have happened next? What would the first hours, days, and months of a Harris administration look like? And how different would America be right now? Before we dive into all of that, let's rewind just a bit. Picture this. It's November 5th, 2024. Polls across the East Coast are closing, and early exit data shows exactly what everyone feared. This race is razor thin. The kind of election night where you blink once and a state flips, blink twice and Twitter melts down. In our alternate timeline, the early results look almost identical to the real world. Trump performs strongly in the South and Mountain West. Harris holds most of the traditional Democratic states. Cable news panels rotate through, "We simply don't know yet," 57 times per hour. But then the real battle begins, the Rust Belt. In this version of events, Harris manages to hang on to Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Not by much. Think margins so tight they could fit inside a fortune cookie, but enough to keep them blue. Meanwhile, Trump flips Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, just like he did in real life. So what changes? The difference is simple. The Rust Belt becomes the entire story. And when the dust settles, Harris reaches exactly 270 electoral votes. Trump ends at 268. A 2-vote margin. One of the closest victories in modern political history. The reaction is immediate. News outlets hesitate to call the race, but social media does not. Suddenly, political influencers become constitutional experts overnight. Claims of irregularities in Detroit and Philadelphia spread like wildfire. Elon Musk reposts dozens of them, adding to the chaos. By sunrise, the lawsuits begin. Trump challenges results in multiple states. The legal strategy looks eerily similar to 2020. But this time, he's not the sitting president. That changes everything. Security ramps up nationwide. The Biden administration, determined not to repeat January 6th, deploys thousands of National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. The Capitol becomes one of the most secure places on Earth. Certification day arrives. 15 House Republicans and 3 senators, including J.D. Vance, object to the results. But the objections fail, and Harris certifies her own victory. January 20th, 2025. Kamala Harris is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. And this is where our alternate timeline truly begins. So what would Harris have done first? Given that she served as vice president under Joe Biden, her first 100 days likely would have looked like a continuation of the Biden agenda, but with different priorities, different branding, and a noticeably different tone. Her number one focus? Economic relief for everyday Americans. During her campaign, Harris repeatedly emphasized tackling price gouging, particularly in groceries. She promised to investigate corporate mergers, penalize anti-competitive behavior, and lower the cost of essential goods. Critics called it price controls. Supporters called it, finally someone doing something. Next, she would have pushed for prescription drug caps, especially insulin. She also expressed support for eliminating medical debt entirely, a move that would immediately affect millions of Americans. Housing would have been another early priority. Harris campaigned on building 3 million housing units over 4 years and offering $25,000 in down payment assistance to first-time homebuyers. Her administration likely would have begun drafting legislation immediately, though actual construction would take time. On taxes, Harris would have aimed for expanded tax credits. A $6,000 child tax credit, eliminating income taxes on tips, larger deductions for small businesses. Meanwhile, On the high-income end, she planned to raise taxes on billionaires and capital gains. Those policies would have taken longer, but her administration would have started laying the groundwork. Immigration is where things start to diverge sharply from our real-world timeline. Harris supported the bipartisan border security bill that Trump later pressured Republicans to block. In our alternate world, she would have revived the bill immediately, hiring more Border Patrol agents, more asylum officers, and tightening credible fear screenings. Then there's foreign policy. On Ukraine, Harris would have made rapid moves to send already approved aid and maintain pressure on Russia. Peace talks without Ukraine at the table? Not happening. On Israel and Hamas, her tone would have shifted noticeably from the Biden era. She supported Israel's security, but consistently emphasized humanitarian aid, civilian protections, and the need for a credible path to peace. Her public messaging likely would have been more forceful in pushing Israel to limit civilian casualties. Climate policy? Mostly a continuation of the Biden agenda. Clean energy incentives, emissions reduction goals, and federal investment in renewables. At this point, our timeline shows a presidency focused heavily on domestic economic relief, moderate immigration reform, and humanitarian-focused foreign policy. But here's the twist. None of this would have been easy. In this alternate world, Harris wins the presidency, but Democrats lose the House, and likely the Senate as well. Which means, from day one, she would have faced a Republican-controlled Congress determined to stop nearly everything she proposed. Political gridlock becomes the unavoidable core theme of her presidency. Her executive powers would allow her to push on climate, some immigration reforms, and limited economic relief. But major legislation, housing, taxes, and large-scale healthcare reform would likely stall. Ironically, this gridlock might actually increase her popularity. Historically, presidents blocked by Congress often gain public sympathy, especially when their agenda centers on affordability and economic relief. So the question becomes, would Harris have been a transformative president or a symbolic one? Would she have reshaped the American economy or spent 4 years locked in political combat? And perhaps the biggest question of all, if Harris had won in 2024, would Trump have run again in 2028? That is a story for another video. If you enjoyed today's alternate history breakdown, feel free to like and subscribe. More what-if political scenarios coming soon.